replay. We'll bring everybody in here. There we are. We were waiting just a hot sec to see if other people who had signed up were going to come into the call. But welcome everyone to our 4 pillars discussion. I'm so excited for this, Emma. It's going to be such a blast.
Nice.
So I'm going to let you just go ahead and take it away if you want to introduce yourself briefly and then hop right into it. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody. Lovely to see you. I will actually. I'll do a little introduction to myself. But so I might as well just go ahead and share, and we'll come to me. Actually, let me just do this bit first. There's always a little kind of what's the word process to it, like so much.
There is. Technology is so much fun.
Okay, let's do share. Okay, so hopefully you can see the 4 pillars to author success there on your screen. Fabulous. So yes, yeah, we're talking about the 4 pillars, which I think are vital for our author success and not just being successful, but being sustainable as well. And it's awareness, acceptance, growth, and fun. And as I say, I really do think these are important to our growth and our writing career, making it sustainable and fulfilling, because we want this to be fun. I've noticed that quite often when people make that decision, and myself included, okay, I'm going to write a book that I'm going to publish, we suddenly become very, very earnest about the whole thing, and we kind of lose the fun that we once had around it and why we turned to it in the first place. So today we're going to be exploring how our author mindset, our perspective, the approach that we bring to our writing, how that influences the success that we may be having in the months and years to come. And I'm going to help you also sort of identify some of your own barriers, your own kind of challenges around this that might be getting in the way of you reaching that next step for your own writing career. But yay, a little bit about me before we get started, because I know that I'm familiar to some and unfamiliar to others. But I'm Emma Dhesi, and I'm an author as well. I write contemporary women's fiction and domestic psychological thriller. And so I'm in the trenches with you. I know what it's like to be that writing author who's trying to get these books written and out and build a readership. I'm also a certified book coach. So I coach writers as well. I've written 7 manuscripts. I've chosen to self-publish 4, and I'm working on the 5th. I've got 3 children, but I also have 3 cats. And a big part of our life is traveling. My husband and I love to travel, and negotiating that with 3 children is sometimes tricky, but we try and make it happen. But all that to say is that, like you, life is busy. There's a lot to balance. And so I get what we're in. And sometimes we don't always make the progress that we would like to see in our writing. So these are my 4 novels on the outside there. And then in the middle is my non-fiction book, Launchpad, The Countdown to Writing Your Book. And I'm certified through Author Accelerator with Jenny Nash. Okay, so our objective for the workshop today is to really understand the role of your mindset, your approach, your perspective to your writing, and then the resilience that comes with that and how important they are in your writing success. So to identify which pillar that you are in currently and what might be holding you back from progressing in the way that you want to. And then we're going to learn some actionable strategies to build confidence, manage any obstacles, and sustain the motivation. Because we start this process very, very excited, but perhaps by 10 books in, we're a bit fatigued. But we want to find ways that we can keep that progress going, keep that motivation going. And then we're going to experience some clarity. So there'll be some exercises to do just to help you understand where you're at, what's going on in your own creative life, and that align with your mindset, align with the perspective that you've got for your long-term writing goals. One thing I say a lot to people is that writing is not, it's not just about the words on the page. That's part of it, of course, but it's not just about that. When you write a book, it's about more than that. It's also about who you become in the process of writing that book. When we think about our first few books in particular, often they've come from an autobiographical element, either something that's happened to us or something that has happened to someone we know and love. And we've been so moved by it or so struck by it that we've decided we're going to spend the next year, 2 years, maybe 7 years writing this book. So in doing that, we're kind of working through some things that are going on, figuring out how we feel about the things in the world that we're writing about, but also we realize that we can achieve something that we didn't think we could do before. We realize that we can set ourselves a pretty big target, a pretty big challenge, and we can accomplish it. And so we learn things about ourselves along the way. And we're going to explore today how your perspective, your mindset, your approach shapes your writing journey. And we ultimately want for you to embrace your creative process and reach that potential, however that might look for you. So the 4 pillars, they are awareness. So understanding where you are in your writing career, in your writing journey, in the whole landscape of your writing life, accepting that you're where you're at and to be okay with that, that is absolutely fine, whilst understanding that growth is possible. And then there is the 3rd pillar, which is the growth pillar, which is when we are actively doing the work, we're doing the hard grind of being a writer, the difficult bits of being a writer. But through that, then we improve our skills. We learn to embrace the challenges that writing brings us rather than being fearful of them and sometimes running away from them. And then finally, pillar number 4 is the fun pillar, which is about finding joy and freedom in your writing. And I think this is the one that we tend to overlook the most. And so I really do want to kind of bring our attention to that one today. So well, I've mentioned perspective a few times. What is perspective? Why does it matter? Well, if we think about it, that's the way that we see the world around us, the way that we interpret the world around us. So everybody in this room has come here today, but we've all come from a different background. We've come with different life experiences, different perspectives on the way the world works. But yet it's brought us all here and we come to it with that perspective. And it might be some people are thinking, who's this crazy lady with the funny accent, really not keen on that. Others might be thinking, oh, quite like that accent, that's funny. Some people will be thinking, oh, I've heard this before. Others will be thinking, I've not heard this before, this is interesting. So we all come together to this room with our different perspectives. And so that not only shapes what's gone before and right now, but it shapes what's going to happen in the future. So it shapes the beliefs that we have about ourselves, about the people we know, the world around us, the habits, the decisions we make within our creative lives. And a healthy perspective, a buoyant perspective, a resilient perspective really is essential if you want to navigate the ups and downs of the writing process. For those of you who have been around for a while, you know that there are many ups and downs. And sometimes we can be riding the crest of a wave and just everything feels like it's going our way and it's great fun. And then other times it just feels like everything is going wrong and we wonder, why did we start this? And we come very, very close to giving up. And some people do give up. They do say, oh, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And often that's because their perspective is just not where it needs to be. Their state of mind isn't where it needs to be with regards to their writing and their creative life. So how do we know if perhaps we need to give our perspective a bit of a tune-up? Well, let's have a look at this list. It might be that you're feeling stuck, either in a project or at the stage of your career that you're at. You might be doubting your ability, and not just in the writing itself, but it might be you're doubting your ability to market your book, to promote your book, to become a marketer, to advertise your book. You might be doubting things around that. There might be that fear of judgment or failure, which so I think probably all of us experience at different times. What will my friends say? What will reviewers say? What will the general public say? It might be that you struggle with perfectionism or procrastination, wanting, your first draft to be a-okay and not need any work, or finding 6 million other things to do rather than do the work that's involved in the writing because of that fear. Comparing yourself to others, logically you shouldn't do it, but we still all do it. And then often starting projects but never finishing them. Lots and lots of projects on the go and none of them come to fruition. I think all of us go through all of these things at different times, and that's fine. The problem is, and maybe if you're experiencing it to the degree where it's stopping you from doing anything, that is when you possibly need the tune up. So if you are doubting your abilities at the moment, and you've never been 100% confident in your writing, but at the moment that doubt has really risen up and you can feel it very high. It's so high, in fact, that you can't do any more writing at the moment. It's stopping you. You've perhaps had one bad comment from somebody and that has just put the fear in you, and now you don't want to go on to the next step with what you've got to do for fear that somebody else is going to criticize you too. So whilst all of these are healthy, we all experience them at different times. If they get too strong and strong enough to stop us doing what we love doing, then yeah, that's perhaps the time that we need to kind of think about things. So let's delve into the pillars. So one by one. So pillar one, awareness. So this is about really understanding and recognizing where you are in your writing journey, in the landscape right now. And it could be that you are just right through the gate. You've maybe only just decided this year that you want to write, and this is all brand new and exciting for you. But equally, you could be way down the path. In fact, you're 10 books in, 25 books in, and you've come a long way. You've done a lot in the last few years. And I want us to be able to recognize that all of us, be aware that all of us come to the creative world with strengths and areas of improvement. So whether you kind of believe it or not, each one of you will come to the writing itself with some strengths. So it might be that you are fabulous at coming up with really good deep characters and that inner dialogue. You have a knack for it. You really get in there and understand how your character is thinking and feeling at any given moment. Or it could be that you just have this real knack for dialogue and it just comes really easily to you. You don't know how, you don't know the system behind it, but it just works and people compliment you on it. Or it could be that you really are good at the big picture stuff. So you can plan a really solid storyline with some lovely twists going on and a great ending. That's just a natural strength that you have. And just as we have those natural strengths, of course, then we've got the areas that we need to improve upon. And it's exactly the same. It might be dialogue, it might be character, it might be plot line. We've all got something, a few things that we need to work on. But it's important to kind of look at that path, be aware of that landscape, that writing journey, and recognize, okay, I might not be as far along as I would like to be or ultimately want to be, but I have come along the road. I'm further along than I used to be. And it's so critical to know that every writer's path is so different. So all of us have come to writing at a different age, a different stage of life, with different life experiences, with different reasons for coming to it, and different expectations from it. We have different motivations and drivers as to why we want to write. All the way from this is a hobby that you are dedicated to, right to the other end of, no, this is how I want to earn my living and do it full time. And of course, everything in between. So it's just recognizing, understanding that there's a big landscape out there and just being aware of that landscape and where you are in it. So for example, it might be that yes, you finished a manuscript, and that's a huge milestone, but you haven't yet published. That's a next step that you've yet to encounter. Perhaps you have published a book, but actually it's the marketing side of things that feel a bit scary, overwhelming, the unknown, but that's the next step. And you probably kind of know that you or feel that you should be further along. I think most career authors constantly feel that they should be further along. But as I was saying earlier, we've also got to acknowledge how far we have come. Because that's, we're always looking ahead, what we're trying to achieve, but really, really important to see where we've come from so that we see the difference and we feel good about that. The persistence has shown itself and it's won out, and we can see how far along we've come. So with that in mind, I want us to do the first exercise, which is mapping your writing journey. So we're just going to take 4 minutes to do this. We're not going to take long to do it, but really think about those key milestones in your creative life so far. It might be publishing book 1, publishing book 10, doing that podcast with the big host. But equally, if you're just starting out, it might be you bought that notepad that was going to be specifically for your novel. You've invested in Atticus or in Scrivener for the first time, or you've just taken your first writing class. Whatever it is, these are going to be big milestones for you. And this is going to help you see how far you have come so far in however long you've been doing this. So I'm going to give it 4 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll move on. I'll do the timer, so don't worry about that. Right, that was us at about 4 minutes, and I did that myself. And if anybody wants to share in the chat with them what came up for them, but I remembered something that had come up for me, which I'd totally forgotten about. I watched a YouTube interview with Elizabeth Kostova, who had written a fabulous retelling of Dracula, and somebody asked her a question, and she said, they'd asked her, you're a mum of three young kids, and this is a really big book. How did you manage to do it? And I remember thinking, oh, that's me. I'm a stay-at-home mum with three young kids. And it just made me realize that if she can do it, then I could do it too. And her saying she just did what she could when she could. That was the kind of motto I took from that. And I think if I hadn't watched that interview with her, I don't think I would have kind of be here now, sort of thing. So it was nice to be reminded of that, and hopefully you've been reminded of some things that have happened along the milestone road for you that has helped you be where you are. And you wouldn't be in this class today if it wasn't for those things. So yeah, that was good. I enjoyed doing that. Right, let's move on to pillar 2, acceptance. So we're aware now of where we are, what we've done so far, and I'm sure we kind of know where we're trying to get to as well. But we do want to just accept the stage that we're in right now. If you're like me, and I think most career authors are, we're always striving for the next thing. We always want to be one step ahead. We always want to be at that next phase. Just published book 5, you want to get book 6 out. You've just done a podcast interview, you want to get the next one out. We're just always looking to the next step. But I want to encourage us all just to take a moment to accept that where we're at is fine. This is, depending on when we came to writing, how much time we're able to dedicate to it, what we can give to it, we're at where we need to be. We're at there exactly where we're meant to be. And so we want to embrace that and be happy with that and okay with that, while still being open to the growth that's going to come, while still being open to the opportunities that are going to come along the road. But it might also be a moment to kind of let go of some unrealistic expectations that we have of ourselves. I know when I first started out, I was like, I'm going to publish 6 books a year and I'm going to have a back catalogue of 30 books before I can shake a stick. Life did not turn out that way, and I realized that that was going to be a lot harder, as Carissa knows, to do than you first think. So I've had to let go of that expectation and just reconfigure that. And I really, really want to emphasize here that our focus in all of this is to be on progress, not perfection. And progress is the key. And when I was putting these slides together, I was thinking about 2 authors in particular. I was thinking of Colleen Hoover, and I was thinking of Dan Brown. Both authors who write in very different genres are hugely successful, and yet are often criticized for the quality of their work. And they came to mind because I was thinking, well, they're focused on progress. They're not trying to write anything perfect. They're writing a book that they love, a story that they love, and they've put their heart and soul into it. And so millions of other people have felt that and enjoyed that and taken that on board. And I think that's a real a sort of genuine example where it doesn't have to be perfect to touch someone's heart. It just needs to be truthful and honest and come from a good place. So let's focus on progress and not on perfection. Now, one question I did get asked around this was, well, if I'm just accepting everything that's happening and I'm just kind of like gonna be where I'm at and be okay with it, does that mean that I just sit back and I don't pursue any of my goals? I give up on them. I don't need to think about them. No, absolutely not. You're accepting that you're at the stage you're at, but you're still looking to the future. You still want to get to where you ultimately see your success. So we still have to do. We still have to do the stuff. We still have to do the writing and the graft that comes with writing a book, but we get to be kinder to ourselves as we do it. Instead of berating ourselves constantly, that inner critic voice, we're kinder to ourselves as we go and accept this is just where we're at right now. So, for example, you might be thinking, well, I've been working on my manuscript for a long time, but that's okay. Books take time, and I'm learning with every draft. It might be, I don't know everything about publishing yet, but I'm learning one step at a time. There's an acceptance there that that's where this mythical writer is in their author career. Or I've received constructive criticism from beta readers and choose to see it as an opportunity to improve. So yeah, a lot of us fear that criticism, and we often can take it very, very personally. But what we're trying to move towards is more seeing that as a way, okay, how can I make my story better? Just on that idea of criticism and not everybody liking your books, I always direct people to Stephen King with this, and some of my other workshops, I've got some slides about it. I should have put them in, but he's the best person to go and look at when it comes to criticism and not being criticized, because he's regarded as, one of the voices of a generation. Everything he writes turns to gold. Nobody is paid better than him. He's just seems to be faultless in his writing. But if you go on Amazon or any of the others retailers, you'll see that there's lots of 5 stars there. People saying this is just the most amazing book. Yet again, King smashes it out of the park. Fabulous. But equally, you'll see there's quite a lot of 1 stars there, and other people going, really? I don't get this at all. So if even he can get a 1 star and people just not liking it, then I can get that too, and you can get that too. If he's getting it, then it's okay. So we know that we're not perfect. We know that we're making progress. So how can we reframe the progress that we're trying to make to be a positive thing rather than a negative thing? So one way of doing this is letting go of the shoulds. I should have published my book. I should have been on this podcast. I should have get my adverts up and running now. We're trying to let go of those, and we're trying to replace each of those things that we berate ourselves about into a more compassionate and more positive statement. So the example there, I should have finished my book by now, is replaced with I'm making steady progress, and that is okay. So I'm going to give us 4 minutes again, and you just take your time to think about what are the things that you say to yourself. If you are thinking, often we wake up in the morning, I'd say, I'm going to do some writing today, but the closer we get to our desk, or the closer we get to the thing that we're supposed to be doing next, the resistance rises up and little voices come into our head. So what are the voices saying to you in your head as you get closer to your desk and to sit down and do your writing? And how can you rephrase those to be more understanding and more compassionate to yourself and where you're at right now? So I'll give that 4 minutes and see if you can rephrase it, because sometimes people find that quite difficult. Okay, that's us almost at 4 minutes. I hope you found that an interesting exercise and not too challenging, I hope. I hope you were able to find ways to reframe things and be more compassionate with yourself. Um, One of the things I'm always telling myself at the moment is you should be writing more, you should be at your desk more. And I'm having to be compassionate with myself around that because my body is saying, no, you need to take a break. My body is struggling at the moment to sit for so long. Oh, good, Carissa. I'm glad you found that one helpful. Yay. Okay, so let's move on to pillar 3, which is growth. Um, oh, it's a toughie, this one. This is the one that we spend the most amount of time in, especially as newer writers, but I think even as we get more experienced as writers, there's new things that we want to do. There's new stages and phases of our writing career in which we have not done before or only done a couple of times. And so there's still growth that needs to happen. And so, like anything, when it's new, we're there for a long time. We're slower at everything as we're still figuring it all out. So this growth pillar, it's the toughest one because it really is where you do the hard work of getting your bum in the chair, where you do the revision, you get the feedback, you plot the story, you pants the story, whatever, whichever way you prefer to write. But it's the doing the do, it's doing the stuff, the hardest bit of it, the grind and the reality of being a writer. It's not the romantic side of it, it's not the glamorous part of it, it's the hard work side of it. So, but with that said, it is also where the magic happens. That's where the joy can come at the end of that sort of period of growth, that period of challenge. And where the growth in ourselves come as we see, oh my goodness, I stuck with that and I've got through it. I really didn't want to write that chapter. It felt so hard. I didn't know what my characters were going to say to each other, but I've written it, I've done it, and I'm really pleased with it. Growth can come in the writing of the whole book. It can come in the writing of one scene. It can come in the first draft of your ad copy. It comes in all shapes and sizes and at all stages of our writing career. Um, and of course, the mindset, the perspective side of it, the frame of mind side of it, that's an ongoing challenge as well. And we go through periods of growth with that, and periods of setback, and we have to stick with it and get back into that growth pillar to move through those periods of doubt. So growth, as we know, we all know this from other aspects of our life. It happens when you challenge yourself. I often come back to kind of being a parent in this regard. It's one of the biggest challenges I've ever had. And many times I would have given up if I could, but I couldn't. So I had to sit in that pillar of growth, and challenge myself to stick it out, to find a way through whatever problem it was at the time. And then I became a stronger parent for it. It's the same in our creative life. And through that, when we make our way through that pillar of growth, that's where we kind of gain our practice. Practice gives us confidence, and we boost our resilience as well, which, as I've said before, is so essential in this roller coaster creative world that we live in. Growth is also from the mistakes that we make. The last book I published was a move away from women's fiction into psychological suspense and thriller. And I made some mistakes there, and the feedback I got was, it was fine, but here was a couple of mistakes that you made. And it's so disheartening at the time. But now I know how I can make my next book stronger, and I have to sort of dig deep. That has to be part of my growth pillar and learn from that mistake, not feel embarrassed about it, although I did a bit, but I had to move through that too, and take that on to the next project, the next book, and make that better if possible. But yeah, this is where we get the evidence for ourselves that we are growing, that we are getting better, that we are progressing. And I'm just gonna, Carissa said something in the chat earlier. When a negative feeling crops up and stops us, it means we're on the precipice of letting it go. And I think that's kind of applicable here in this growth pillar as well, actually, that The growth pillar is hard, and it can feel that that's where we want to stop because we think it shouldn't be this hard. But actually, it is for all of us. And if we can come through that, we're going to see just how much progress we've made as writers and as individuals. Chris is in the chat. She's saying, when I wrote my Windhaven books, I didn't know Insta love was such a hated thing. I learned then. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's publicly, sometimes it's in the quiet of our writing groups. But either way, it's a way of learning, it's a way of growth. We reframe that in our minds to say, okay, this didn't go ideally, it's not what I wanted, but now I know. So growth, it might be, I'm ready to hire an editor for the first time. Now that can be both terrifying and exciting, because it's a real milestone in your author career. So that feels really, really exciting. But it might be a bit scary because it's the first time you've put your book out for professional feedback and you don't know what they're going to say. Seeing negative reviews as part of the process. So when we can accept that and we grow through that, that's really good. And we stop seeing it as such a personal thing, but more about the work itself. And just as Carissa and I have been saying, I've learned from past mistakes and I feel more confident. Again, I'm going to say it again, the key here is we're going to focus on progress. We're not focusing on perfection at all. But again, building resilience, strengthening our mindset to keep us going when things do get tough. So I'm going to give you a little mini challenge today. I want you to think about one small writing challenge, whether it's to do with your book, whether it's to do with querying an agent, writing a synopsis, whether it's to do with approaching a podcast host, whether it's to do with advertising, writing your first email newsletter, any range of things that are involved in our author career. One that you have been a bit reticent about because it might be the first time you're doing it, you don't quite know how to get started. I'm challenging you today to spend 4 minutes on it. Now, if you're feeling this kind of the wall of resistance rise up because you're thinking, I don't even know where to start with that, I don't know what to do, then it might just be bullet points that you write down. So if you were doing a difficult scene, it might just be bullet points about what might happen in the scene. Doesn't have to happen, but what might happen in the scene. What might somebody say to another person? Or if you're developing a new character, just some bullet points about that character's personality and a little bit about their background. Doesn't have to be in depth. It's not written in stone. It's just a practice in getting over the hurdle of doing something that is challenging and a bit difficult so that you can get through it and feel at the end, you might actually have stumbled upon something you can use going forwards. But if you haven't, then at least you now know what you don't want. And that's equally as valuable. So I'll set the timer again for 4 minutes. Think of just one small thing that you've been putting off recently and then make a start on it today. Right, that was 4 minutes. I enjoyed doing that as well. I've been putting off a new email sequence, so I've got at least a rough first draft of an email there. It's amazing what we can do in just 4 minutes. It's always surprises me. I would have put normally I would put I'd say I need an hour to do that, but there we go. 4 minutes, it's done. Right. Fourth pillar, pillar four, which is the fun. And I mentioned this earlier that this can be the one that we don't pay as much attention to because we're so busy trying to move on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But I really want to encourage you to take some time to reconnect with the fun in the writing and remembering why you came to it in the first place. And we've looked at some milestones today. So being able to take moments to celebrate those little milestones and recognize how far you've come along. Because as it says here, writing should be enjoyable. It should be creative. It should feel freeing and taking you out of the day-to-day realities, not another sort of to-do list or checklist for you. I want to encourage you to experiment with some new ideas, some new genres or styles of writing, a different point of view, POV. And then, of course, to celebrate those little achievements, the big ones and the small ones, finishing that tricky scene, publishing a book, whatever it comes. Um, I want it to become fun because yeah, we sometimes just become too earnest with it, I think, when we decide that we are going to publish a book. So examples of this fun, of this playfulness that we can bring back into it is, yeah, I'm going to try a new genre, or I've got the short story and I'm going to try it in a different point of view to see if that makes a difference or I enjoy that more. um, the fun of talking about your books. This is something that people find hard. I've met so many writers who actually stop themselves from finishing the book because they're already anticipating the fear that's going to come with talking about the book. But remember, you've worked on this for such a long time. You've put your heart and soul into it. You can be very, very proud of this. And so when you talk about it, enjoy it. This is a real moment to pat yourself on the back and know that you've done a good job. And ultimately, I think for all of us, we want to be excited to write, even when it feels challenging. Because as I've said earlier, there are times when we are riding the crest of that wave and it's just flowing and everything feels super duper. And then we hit a trough and it just feels like every word is painful and we're just finding it so hard. But even in those times, we want to find a level of excitement. Yes, this is challenging, but that you can rise to that challenge and know that by the end of the session, your writing session, you'll feel good that you've made progress. So our penultimate exercise, maybe our final one, but I'll take my cue from Carissa on time here. But I want you to play with a point of view here just very quickly. Take maybe something that you've been working on here, something that's on your mind, a little plot, a little scene that you've maybe got on your mind, or a character you've been thinking about, or a short story you've been thinking about, and have a go at just rewriting it from a different point of view. Or you can take that prompt that's there, a character finds a mysterious object. Can you do it from first, or would you do normally writing first and you want to try something in third? Just see what happens. It's just to emphasize that often in the drafting process, we try things out, we play with things and see if it makes a difference and makes things brings out a new dynamic to the story we hadn't seen before. So again, we'll do 4 minutes on that. So experiment, challenge yourself and enjoy it as well. Gosh, that one went quick. I hope you got on well. I hope you, if you were feeling any resistance to a difficult scene, or trying something from a new point of view, I hope you managed to suppress that resistance and just give it a go and see what happened. And maybe one spark of an idea, or a new perspective came out from that exercise. All right, I've touched on this quite a bit. Your frame of mind is key. Your approach to your writing life, your mindset around your writing life, it's the foundation of long-term writing success. And I wanted to kind of delve a little bit further into that and look at why do most people stop writing? And it's what I've discovered from talking to so many people, and also, of course, from my own experience, is that it's actually very little to do with the craft of writing itself. It's actually about what's happening up here in the head, in the mind, and our approach to it, our mindset towards it, the frame of mind we've got around it. You know, according to the New York Times, this is a few years ago now, but according to them, 81% of people want to write a book, that they feel they've got a story in them somewhere, but very, very few ever do, or certainly ever finish it. And it's not that lack of craft skills at all. It is their frame of mind. And we've all felt those barriers, haven't we? The self-doubt, the perfectionism, the fear of failure, comparing ourselves to others. And the fear of failure itself is a huge one as well. And so that's why it's so, so important that we do take time to think about our frame of mind, to think about our mindset, and the emotions that we bring when we sit down at the desk. Because these are the things that really, really do stop us in our tracks, even when the story idea is great. And even when we have the technical skills or the craft skills, it's something going on in our emotions that stop us from achieving what it is that we want to achieve, whether that is just to write one book that is a family story just for loved ones, or if it is for a book that we are hoping is going to be the next Dan Brown or the next Colleen Hoover. I want to remind everybody that writing, your writing career particularly, is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And even though, like me, you might want to publish 6 books a year, that's going to take an awful lot of commitment, and not most of us can't give it that kind of intensity. We have to be prepared for the long term. We need to be resilient. We need to show endurance. We need to come with the right frame of mind, so that we can face those challenges of rejection, those moments where we do get writer's block and feel very, very stuck. And of course, when life takes over, or certainly demands more of our attention, and we've got to balance the writing, the marketing, the publishing, and all those things that go along with our writing career with our other responsibilities, with the children, with the pets and the animals, with the holidays, with the paid job, all of the things that come with health as well. You know, I've mentioned earlier, my body is not letting me do as much as I want to do. That's something I've got to, doesn't mean I give up. It means I just get to recalibrate how I work. So it's resilience that's going to get us through those things, and we can build on that as we go through the highs and lows of our writing journey. I'm going to repeat it because it's so, so important. Writing isn't just about the words on the page. It's about who you become in the process. And it doesn't matter if you're writing your first book or your 10th. With every project, you learn something new about yourself. You evolve as an individual. You build your confidence and your self-belief to the next notch. You'd learn to trust your skills and embrace the growth that comes to the next level. And you learn to enjoy the journey, you know, the kind of process that we're going along, not just this mythical destination that we feel we're all working towards. Because as soon as you reach that destination, there will be a new one that you want to reach and attain. So it's really important to try and enjoy the anonymity that you've got right now, the freedom that you've got to make mistakes right now, the learning process, the community that you make as you go along, the fun of getting to choose a book cover, the learning that you get from working with an editor. All of these things are part of this journey in this landscape along that writing path. And we want to be able to enjoy it. Otherwise, why be here? Why do it if we can't learn to enjoy it? So have just a little think about which pillar you might be in or spend a lot of your time in: awareness, acceptance, growth, or fun. We're going to move through all of these different pillars at different times. It's not just, okay, we start in pillar 1 and we move to 2 and then 3 and then 4. We move between them all the time. So we might be in pillar 1 when it comes to writing our next book. We're aware that we kind of want to write this book, but we might be in pillar 4 for our last book. And in fact, we're doing the podcast things and we're talking about our book and doing the things to do with that book that we enjoy. Or it might be that you're in the growth phase for marketing and you're just sort of figuring out how an email newsletter works. How do you work with MailerLite or ActiveCampaign or any of these other service providers? So we're always moving between them at any one stage and at any one aspect of our writing life. But being able to know where you are in that project that you're working on can just give you a sense of, okay, I've got a degree of control around this. I know where I am with this. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to panic. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to be resilient and meet this challenge head on. So our final exercise is about goal alignment. Gosh, that's a small text. I hope you can read that. It's about goal alignment. So I want you to think about one long-term goal that you've got, whether it's finishing that first novel, whether it's getting a book published, building a backlist, starting your email list, whatever it might be. And think about which pillar or pillars you might need to kind of be aware of to help you achieve that goal. So remember, it's awareness, understanding where you are and what's needed, accepting of where you are right now, so letting go of perfectionism or those unrealistic expectations, growth, developing the skills, taking on new challenges, and the fun, staying motivated and enjoying the process, celebrating those little wins as you go along. So looking at what you've done today so far, looking at the milestones and the experiences you've had to date, what is one long-term goal that you've got at the moment that you kind of maybe need to step into the next pillar or embrace the current pillar that you're in order to make that progress? So just for time, I'll just give us 3 minutes for this one, so that we're not going to run too late. Right, there we go. 3 minutes for that. Okay. I hope that was useful too. I hope that's kind of just given you a little bit more clarity about what your next steps are and the frame of mind that you need in order to reach those next steps. Um, yeah, and I hope you have fun with it too. Okay, so our key takeaways. Where are we going to go from here? So I want us to just move away from today knowing that writing is a journey of evolution, both a creative evolution and a personal evolution as well. By focusing on the four pillars, then of course you not only improve your craft because you'll be going through your growth phases, but you'll also start to enjoy that process of becoming a writer and being the writer that you want to be. You're going to celebrate each step as you go along this path in this landscape. You're going to increasingly trust your ability to grow as a writer and step into that writer that you want to be. And again, one of the things I've reiterated the most is writing is not just about the words on the page, it's about who you become in the process. And in so many ways, I think that's actually one of the most valuable things that we can give ourselves is achieving this goal that we've set ourselves and always developing, always learning, always evolving, and being exciting to ourselves, being excited by our own lives and what we're bringing to the forefront. So those would be the key things that I would love for you to take away as you move forwards and use the four pillars in your creative life. If you've enjoyed this session, you found it useful, and you think you might like some more personalized help, then I do offer a 12-month mentorship. So we work together for 12 months and work through your manuscript together. But if you're the other side of that and you're looking for a manuscript evaluation, I can also help you with that. And you'll find everything at my website, emmadhesi.com. And so that just leaves me to say thank you very much. It's been an absolute delight. So thank you.
Hey, that was awesome, Emma. For me, it was very interesting because I am definitely like, I'm one of those people that hops around all of the pillars like all the time. It's so interesting. And I think the biggest thing is, like you were saying, so many of us who are career authors who are trying and striving to get to that point of that, I want my entire income to come from my books. It's like we kind of go through this phase where we forget the fun, first of all, because now it's a business and we're trying to like race to that finish line of earning our money. And then it's like you're always chasing, well, there must be something else that I have to do. There must be something else I have to learn. There must be something else that I'm missing. And really the thing that we're missing is probably that fun piece. All the way back in the beginning where you're like, gosh darn it, had I just stayed in the fun part.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's very true, isn't it? I certainly noticed for myself that as soon as I made that decision to write, I just became so serious about it all and everything had to be perfect and it wasn't just for fun anymore. And I was in that for quite a long time and it took me I think it was about 2 years ago now. I just remember sitting with a group of writers and realizing we've all lost the fun that we came to this for. We often come to it because we want to there's something going on in our lives. We want to switch off from the day-to-day stresses, but now it feels like actually we've just added writing to our stresses. And um, whilst whilst there's always going to be a degree of sort of expectation and challenge around it, we also want that this isn't a paying the bills thing at the moment. We still want that to be a something that we enjoy coming to, that it's not another tick box exercise,
Yeah.
which I think that we can come to. But I think too, and I feel this fits very nicely in with a lot of the work that you do around manifestation and thinking about, okay, well, what am I going to bring into my reality in the future? Okay, well, how have I moved from my old reality towards that and recognizing that path we've come along and seeing that, well, isn't it possible? I've achieved this, I've made this a reality. So what else is going to happen in the future that I'm going to bring into my reality in the future?
Yeah, I think that's so key. And there's so many of us who kind of forget, that first, I got too many sheets of paper, that first like timeline thing, where you write it all down and all the things that you've done. and then you look back and you're like, holy crap, there is a lot of stuff that I've actually accomplished over the years,
Yeah.
and it just puts you back into that perspective. Like you said, when you realize you've overcome all these things, so why couldn't you overcome this? It's like we get into our heads, and that responsibility bug, I think that's been my biggest one, where it's like as soon as I make it a responsibility of mine, then it's like, ugh. I just want it to
Yeah.
be fun now. It's like, oh, responsibility.
And sometimes we can use that fun pillar as an incentive to, go through the growth. Okay, let me just do this Facebook ad or whatever it is, and then I get to have my downtime, then I get to have my chocolate bar, or then I get to do the writing or whatever it
Or
is
what
that
can
for
you
us is
do
that
in the
fun bit.
moment to make it fun? Like I was thinking, was it the challenge one? Yeah, the challenge one. I was like, okay, so my biggest one that I've been kind of putting off is for my rom-coms, I'm thinking about launching this third book that I just finished with a Kickstarter. I'm like, well, how could I make it really fun? So that's what I was doing for that, like trying to think about like what would the tiers look like? What are some of the extra bonuses that could be in there that would just be like completely wonky and funny? So it's like sometimes you just got to make fun with it and have fun doing it, and I don't know.
And it comes across, I think. I think when we
Yeah.
do have fun with it, then it comes through. I mean, I'm going to kind of refer back to our Colleen Hoovers and our Dan Browns. I bet they love writing. I bet they
Mm,
have a lot of fun with it and they enjoy it. I've just been listening to an interview with, I listened to a podcast that is hosted by Richard Osman, who
okay.
writes the Thursday Murder Club. He's just finished the fifth Thursday Murder Club book, and listening to him talk about it, you can hear the excitement and the joy that he says, I've loved writing this one. And I think then it comes through in the writing as well. And readers
Yeah.
go, oh, yeah, this might not be the perfect book, but I've really enjoyed it. It's been
Yeah.
good fun.
It's so interesting to me. Like for me, I can definitely tell the difference between a story where the writer was just kind of putting it out. Even myself, when I've had moments where I go back and I read a chapter, like I mentioned this before, where I used to push myself when I was sick to write a chapter, right? And to nope, this is my writing routine. I got to go and do this. And then I go back and read it like a couple days after I feel better, and I'm like, why is everyone so crabby in this chapter? Like, what's happening? And then I'm like, no, we're not going to write when we're sick. That doesn't work.
There we have
Yep.
learned that that does not work.
Oh, so funny. And I just like, what's going on here?
Yeah, the
Uh,
timeline one, that exercise I think is really, really useful. And we forget, and I was so pleased I did it myself, just to kind of be reminded of that and how
mm,
much motivation I took from Elizabeth Kostova and just how kind of pivotal she was. But then I do also remember making those purchases of Scrivener all those years ago, and
mm,
how I felt like a real writer then, or it was a step
yeah.
towards being that real writer because now I had the right equipment and that felt good. And
Or buying
uh,
vellum. That was a big one for me when I first got vellum back in the day.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I like that
It
one.
feels so professional.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And now
And
there's
then
so many other
even,
options.
yeah. Well, yes, no, you've been at this a lot longer than me. That's right, because I think you will have been doing this where you had to side load things in and it was all very complicated. And
Oh, it was
then,
such a pain. It was so bad. It was so bad.
but those were challenges you overcame and you found a
Yeah,
way through them, and then you knew how to do it and you could teach other people how to do it.
exactly. Yeah, I even it was like, oh yeah, in 2018 I started audiobook production. I can't believe it was in
Wow.
2018. It was like, just reminding like where certain big things started. And then in 2019 is when Author Revolution came. So it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh man, there's a lot of different changes and shifts that have happened throughout the years. It's really important to take stock of that. And for me and my ADHD brain, which I've now like understood exists, I'm like, oh, that's why I don't really think much about the past. Okay, that's interesting. So having exercises like this is so helpful, and I think probably really crucial to those of us who are kind of like that.
Yeah, and it's how wonderful that you don't dwell on the past, but if every now and again you just get to drop in and like you are kind of recognizing how much you have done, Carissa, over the last number of
Yeah,
years, it's a lot. So it's
yeah.
like, oh, I've done that. That
I
feels
know,
good.
right? It's like that's pretty dang awesome.
And if we think about AI now, this is like a new challenge for so many of us in this phase. And all of us are going to bring that perspective to it and how we are going to view it and use it as we go
I've
forward.
never viewed it as a challenge. I was like head first down the rabbit hole.
But was there no challenge originally, kind of like in how you do the prompts and what works best for you and how you develop a story? No?
Mm-mm. No, because
Okay.
I just looked at it as I think it's because of having all the kids in my house, right? It's like they are all having their own neurodivergent tendencies. And so you have to learn how to describe the steps of something to someone who maybe doesn't understand the steps yet, right? And so it's like I just kind of took that and gave it to chat and like, you don't have the context yet, so here's as much word vomit as you're gonna need for right now. So I
I
just
need to take more
assumed,
of a leaf of that.
yeah. So I just assumed I was talking to a kid that had no idea what the heck was going on yet, and I just gave as much information as I could think of.
Okay. So my experience has been the opposite. Yeah, it's taken me, I don't know, I think I'd put in a couple of things and just think it could read my mind. And it's
Yeah.
been trial and error for me to realize, oh, okay, I actually need to give some tell chat or whichever one it is what they're doing, why they're here in the first place, what are we doing today, and
Yeah.
give them
What's
some
the tone?
context.
What's the experience you want to have? Like what for me, it's
Yeah.
like I love the using my phone to do it and then just voice recording myself and just like stream of consciousness so I don't have to actually type it because sometimes I can speak way faster than I can type. Probably all the time. And so I just go ahead and I do that. And it comes up with such detailed information at this point because we've gone back and forth for so long.
Mhm.
So for me, the AI part has just been so fun because it's like having like a best friend who really gets you at, after a certain point
Yeah.
of prompting and talking about your books or your career or your, different pillars or the whatever you're working on. Once it understands it, it's like off and running. Like you could just have
Yeah.
a I was having a chat this morning with chat. It's so fun.
Oh, just have this vision of you now in your office just chatting away to chat.
Yep. It's usually either on my couch right here or like I'll do it upstairs if Colin's running around. My husband runs around the house and he does different things. And for whatever reason, he's just got such a strong energy that I'm always like, so I have to go somewhere by myself so I can focus my own thoughts.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's kind
same.
of funny. But yeah, the growth aspect of that has been super fun. I think a lot of us are like I saw as soon as I we started playing around with chat a year and a half. Oh my gosh, has it been almost 2 years now? Oh, that's crazy. I was like, I saw the potential of it immediately. And so it's so fun to see other people now starting to come online and the awareness of it. And they're
Mhm.
kind of in the growth phases that I was in 2 years ago. And for me, it's so fun to witness it because it's like, yeah, isn't it fun?
Yeah,
Now we go
yeah.
back to the fun part.
I'm trying to think now. So I do enjoy it, but it has been, but I came to it for the I'm not like you, I'm not visionary like you. And I couldn't see the potential, but I just, in the same way, I couldn't see the potential with Kindle. And so I let that slide. And then I thought this time I don't want to be left behind. So I want to
Sure.
kind of engage with it a bit more and learn. So that's been a bit of learning that I had to kind of back myself that I'm not a visionary. I rely on people like yourself and Joanna Penn to kind of do that bit for me. And then I
Gotcha.
can go
Yeah. So
in.
if I start talking about a new program, you better like go down the rabbit hole. I just
Yeah.
I just did a podcast about ditching meta. Just saying.
Oh, did you? Oh, I
I
might do
did.
because that has been on my mind. It's been on
I
my
did a
mind.
podcast
Okay,
on Author
interesting.
Revolution all about that one.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
A new challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a challenge because now all of a sudden you're back at that beginner phase of learning like, okay, so what if I'm no longer on that social platform and everybody else still is,
Mhm.
how do I grow again? How do I get visible again? How do I play around with the platform in a new way? Like what do I do with this thing? And that's where I'm at with Substack right now. But it's fun. It's fun again to be on social because now it's like playing with like how is it going to work for me? How do I want it to look? How do I want to show up and be more authentic? And it's so interesting. Oh, my
Mhm.
manifestation alarm was going off. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's fun.
Oh,
But
lovely. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to come
of
and do a
course, thank you for
masterclass. It's been
coming.
a real pleasure. I always love spending time with you.
Same. And I loved your exercises. They were so good. I was like, oh dang, like that last one. It really helped me kind of get into that mindset of where I've always been kind of trying to get to. And I realize right now that I'm back in the awareness phase of it because I've been for the author career, I want this very low key, like it runs itself, profitable, but it doesn't go to certain places that I don't want it to go to, like Facebook, right? I don't want to have to be doing
Mhm.
ads all the time in order to make it profitable. I want it to have its own thing. So I was doing brainstorming. I'm like, okay, well, I've already kind of been doing the teardown process. So I'm aware of that now. And so now it's like learning and figuring out, okay, I can accept where I'm at, and now I want to rebuild. And so it's like I'm almost to the growth part again, but I got to click that fun part into it. I feel like those two have to go hand in hand. And
Yeah.
so that was really kind of a cool eye-opening thing to look
Oh,
at. Thank you.
good. I'm pleased. I'm going
Yeah,
to be following your progress on that. I'm gonna,
thank
yeah,
you.
see
Yeah,
how it
super fun.
goes. Ah, that's nice.
Well, very cool. Emma, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing all of your wisdom. And I love these four pillars. They're amazing. They definitely make me think differently about where I'm at and how I be, and even how I've kind of been following your pillars without even realizing it. So thank you for
Yeah,
sharing it. I really appreciate it.
you're so welcome. Lovely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.